everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of the Wrap-Up. Dan Myers with me, as always, Nick Buckler. That's right, we're the hosts with the mosts, if that's a thing, not quite sure. It is now. And you know what else is? Very much alive and well at this time is the Red Wings playoff chances. They had a very good week this week. Hopefully that continues into Tuesday, Tampa Bay Lightning. The Red Wings are just 4 points behind the Lightning, so a win would put them within 2 points. And then within 3 points of Boston as well, although they didn't get the result they wanted against Philly at Wells Fargo, a place they have not won since 1997. They got the win in Columbus, followed that up with an impressive win in Florida against the Panthers, who lead the Atlantic Division. Red Wings needed it, and all without Peter Mrazek. Jimmy Howard played, and he played very well.
Yeah, and I think that was a real eye-opening point was in Philly, is when they were struggling so much. It was just an embarrassing game. They were getting just beat up, physically, mentally, just all over the boards. And I think that really turned it around, the mentality around. You can tell it was just sort of a different team that came out of the ice the next game. And it was a good weekend for the guys. I'm still not completely that excited about their playoff hopes, but it's getting there. I'm not sure how deep they're going to go, but I'm still trying to recover from that Philly game. It really rubbed me the wrong way, but they did turn things around, fortunately enough.
And another big thing that happened for them was the call-up of young Anthony Mantha playing on a line with Tomas Tatar and Pavel Datsyuk. And just that alone adds so much depth to this team when you have a fourth line of Glendening, Brad Richards, and Darren Helm. I mean, that's a good third line for most teams, and now that puts the Red Wings with 4 very deep competitive lines. When you scratch a guy like Timo Pulkkinen and Tomas Jurko, those guys are not good hockey players. They're not professional hockey players. Adding Mantha, he's big. He's the biggest guy on the team at 6'5". He's got a great shot. He's got moves, hands, speed. This guy's here long term. Blashill and Holland both said. So having him, Athanasiou, and Larkin, 3 rookies, all playing well right now. It's just a matter of time before his first one finds the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, teams are just trade half their own team just to get someone like Mantha or Athanasiou or Larkin. It's the fact that we have 3 of those guys on our team is just it's amazing. It's going to be long term as long as they stay healthy and just continue doing what they're doing. That's amazing.
Yep, Boston slumping we mentioned earlier. That's a team likely the Red Wings could catch. They still have a game at Madison Square Garden this year and TD Garden where Boston plays. Madison Square is a tough place to play as well, and that's where the final game of the regular season will be. It's a 12:30 puck drop live from New York, so the Red Wings have a tough schedule remaining. They still have to play at Tampa, huge game. They still have to play Montreal twice. Carey Price is on the verge of coming back. Buffalo, they're going to be playing for keeps, although they're not good. Toronto once more, and then they have the tough games. At Boston, at New York. They're playing Minnesota and Philly again at home as well. Minnesota's battling for a playoff spot. Philly, obviously, we know, is battling for a playoff spot against the Wings. Philly has 2 games in hand over Detroit, trail by 3 points. If they win those 2 games in hand, they would be 1 point ahead of Detroit. Detroit needs to just win games. I don't care who you're playing, how tough the team is. Win, and you'll be fine. I mean, it's amazing that Philly's got a lot of tough games left. They play Pittsburgh, they play Washington, and they play the Islanders twice. We need points, and we need Philly to not get points. I don't want to play Washington in the first round, right. So we got to get that top wild card, or just be safe and get in the top 3. Tampa's kind of slumping slightly. Boston, obviously, we mentioned, is slumping. Take advantage while we can and get points now, because I don't want to be coming down to the last game of the year needing 2 points in a regulation win in New York. It doesn't suit well for my heart, for your heart, for the team's heart, because if you lose, it's the first time in my life that the Red Wings haven't made the playoffs, and I don't know what I'm going to do in April, May, and June when I don't have a hockey team to root for, and it's just going to ruin the playoffs for me because I've been so connected to it for my whole life. I don't know, but we need Peter to get healthy. He's battling flu-like symptoms. Jimmy Howard stepped in, played really well. We need both goalies on deck, so it's a good problem to have. Who's the hotter goalie? Jimmy's playing well right now.
Yeah, of course he is. And he's definitely getting back into his secure mindset. Like, he knows he's comfortable with what he's doing. These small plays, I mean, even the other night when it banked off of him, he shook it off, he let it go. Lesser goalies and maybe the older Jimmy Howard would really have some mental effects on them, and it would just rattle them for the rest of the game. And God forbid we come down to a shootout. Well, we know how that would turn out. But a big thing that that the Wings need to do also is they got to stay physical with these teams. Some of these bigger teams, like a Philly, like a New York, they're even a Tampa Bay. They'll push you around, and they have to take care of that. They have to throw their weight around. They got to finish checks. They have to really go strong in the corners, and I think that'll really help their chances on winning. But definitely the physical aspect needs to be there also.
And it won't be. Obviously, we know the Red Wings get pushed around by any team that's in the playoffs, especially Boston. They're a team that always just destroys the Red Wings, no matter how bad they are. I don't want to play Boston in the first round. I would rather play Florida. I would even rather play Tampa Bay than have to play Boston. Boston may not be the best. Their goalie might be a little shaky right now, but they're too physical for the Red Wings. The Red Wings are undersized. Adding Mantha obviously adds some size, but I mean, until you get a physical presence, our defense doesn't hit anybody. They're the softer than Bounty. I mean, it's rough. It's really, and it's frustrating to watch. I sat in front of the TV Saturday against Florida just saying, this is painful to watch. These guys constantly get behind our D. Kyle Quincy, Jonathan Erickson, Brendan Smith. They're constantly getting behind these guys and just right in front of the goalie, and our D looks, they know they're there, but they don't do anything about it. And it's really frustrating that. And the problem I have is the front office thinks these are good players. We have Big E. No. All right, he's garb. We have Smitty. Cool. You could have me. I'll play tomorrow. Sign me. We have Q. Yeah, he's a giant Q, a question mark. He's terrible. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, it's frustrating. Cronwall hasn't played well. I think he's the most overrated one in the bunch. Everyone's like, Cronwall's lockdown. Cronwall hasn't been good since Nick Lidstrom was here.
Right.
Because he's not good at being the guy. When Lidstrom was here, Cronwall was a number 3 defenseman. He's a great number 3 defenseman. He's not the number 1 guy. Mike Green needs to break out of his conservative mode. I feel like he's afraid to get beat, and that's why you're not seeing 20-goal seasons from him. He's got, 4 this year? Yeah. I mean, I don't think Mike Green's a problem. I don't think Danny DeKeyser's a problem. But the other guys are a train wreck. And you're not going to win a playoff series with this D crew core.
Right.
And not happening.
I agree with you, too. They have size, but they're not utilizing it. Actually, they're using it in the wrong ways. If you've seen a lot of these goals, even with Mrazek, it doesn't matter who's in net, Mrazek or Howard, there's a lot of screens going on. And I think teams are really taking advantage of that because they know they're not going to fight back. They're not going to push back. So they could, someone like Alex Ovechkin or Crosby or someone could just cross-check them into the way of the shooter if the defenseman at the point has a shot going on. And it's happened more often than none. And these guys aren't playing that old school style of hockey where you clear out the front of the net, you clear the garbage out of the front of the net so that the goalie has a visual sight of where the puck's coming from, especially if it's coming from the point. And people like Jágr, if we're going to be playing them in the playoffs, he's got that certain spot right above the hash mark where that's his go-to spot. He's got to be, 70% from all of his shots are going from there. I mean, it's just he's notorious for that. And if they're not going to be clearing people out or at least taking advantage of the size they have to block shots, we're going to have real issues. And you're not going to see, the Wings making it out of the first round if they're making it into the playoffs at all.
The majority of the Red Wings goals against come from the point. Screen jobs, because the Red Wings D doesn't clear anyone out. They're afraid to hit people, and it's so frustrating to watch. Let's bring Smash Mouth hockey back. You don't see these European puck possession teams go far because they don't hit anyone, all right? It's becoming, I don't know, but if the Red Wings miss the playoffs or have another early exit, they haven't been out of the second round since 2009. They've only made it to the second round once since then, and that was in the lockout shortened season when they beat Anaheim and went on and lost in 7 to Chicago. They've been a first-round exit every year. They're just, all right, we're going to keep this streak alive. They got to clean house if they don't. Front office. Kenny Holland hasn't done anything that's impressed me since he signed Marian Hossa. Yeah. Tell me something he's done.
Yeah.
Tell me. And I don't care what you're going to say about drafts and, he got us David Legwand to keep our playoff streak alive. All right, folks, we gave up the farm. All right, last year to get dinosaur himself, Eric Cole, who, no longer in the league, and Marek Zidlitsky, who was a pylon. We gave up the farm. And then the year before to get Legwand, we gave up Cal Yarncroc, who's been great on the third line. And we give up Patrick Eaves, who now is playing on a line with Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. I don't know if you saw his single-handed goal the other night where he took the puck away, flew past everyone, gets his own rebound, and scores. I mean, Patrick Eaves was a great third, fourth line guy with a wicked shot and could kill penalties. Those guys are important just because they're not flashy. Now look at our penalty killers. I mean, they can't step. Glenny's fine. Drew Miller's out, and he's a great PK. But after that, who do you got?
Yeah.
You got Helm, but, I mean, you can't have 3 guys who kill penalties. We need depth. We don't have it. We need to teach these young guys how to kill penalties. I mean, look at Grand Rapids. They just won 13 straight games. They're doing something right down there. We need to because you know what? They're gritty. They hit. Tyler Bertuzzi hits. Mitch Callahan hits. Eric Tangradi kills. I mean, these guys aren't afraid to use their body. Ryan Sproul's my favorite defenseman on that team. When was the last time he saw the NHL? He played 1 game 3 years ago. 1 right-handed shot. I don't care. Marchenko's garbage. Send him back to Soviet Russia. I mean, not good. I didn't expect a rant to come on in the show, but I'm getting upset because something needs to be done. This is hockey town, and we're playing like softball town. We're soft. The whole team. I don't care.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The problem is, and what I'm afraid of is the fact that we're going to blow this streak that we have. That I feel like that's, it might be a blessing in disguise, is I feel like we play to keep the streak alive. And then once we're there, it's like, all right, well, that's off our back. We got another year of being in the playoffs. And let's be real, that's not really how it is. But I feel subconsciously that's really what's going on in the back of the head. But I feel like it's for them to get a tough, strong guy who's going to clear people out of the net. He's going to protect our stars. Just be that physical presence, not necessarily a goon, not necessarily an enforcer, but somebody just to make you think about your actions.
Like a Milan Lucic.
Yes.
He's got skill. Do I like him? Absolutely not. But he's a guy who's going to protect guys.
But
Tyler
other teams hate
Bertuzzi
him.
will protect guys. Is he that good? No. Is he undersized? Sure. But he'll make you pay. Jordan Tutu, I think, was excellent at that. He hustled when the puck was around. He wasn't strictly a goon. He was a hustle player.
Yeah.
Fourth line, he was the hardest working player on the team. And he'd fight the biggest guy on the ice. He fought Zdeno Chara twice.
Yeah.
But
No
Babcock,
reservations.
he was a product of Babcock. That's why he's no longer with the Red Wings. Blashill knows that we need a guy like that. Ken Holland, that's just not how he's wired. And to me, I think he should get the Dave Dombrowski treatment.
There you go. Yeah, I agree with you. We need somebody. And like you said, they don't have to be huge. We don't need a Zdeno Chara skating around the ice. Or
Zdeno Chara is garbage. I'm sorry. He's
Yeah.
old and slow.
Oh yeah, he's not. That's a whole nother.
We need a young, physical defenseman like a Dougie Hamilton from Calgary. All right, Jimmy Howard to Calgary, and maybe a prospect for Dougie Hamilton. I'd love to see it at the draft. We need help on D.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Kindle wasn't the answer. I was the only one in Michigan that likes the guy. But then you saw Saturday night he get walked by Gustav Nyquist, got walked by Tomas Tatar, gets a bad penalty that the Wings score on. Argue whether it was a penalty or not, I don't know. But he was just slow, flat-footed, didn't really control the puck very well. And to me, kudos to him. We got a 6th-round draft pick, maybe found the next Datsuk in the next draft. I can't talk about this much anymore, so we're going to talk about more heartbreak. March Madness. Well, we're done with the first weekend, and no Michigan teams are remaining in the
How
tournament.
about that?
Michigan gets a win in the first 4 in, final 4 in, really, first 4 games in Dayton. They defeat Tulsa, lose to Notre Dame Friday night in a game that they led by 12 at half, and they were up by as many as 16. They lost
heartbreaker.
by 7 points to Notre Dame. Notre Dame went on to beat Stephen F. Austin with 1.4 seconds left to move on to the Sweet 16. So if Michigan won, they would have played Stephen F. and had a very good chance of beating him. But Zach Irvin was just awful when it mattered. But the good thing, Michigan had no seniors on the team, so this team's going to be good next year. Yeah, some good freshmen coming in. Beilein, I think, is a great coach. He's gotten a bad rap from people. They think he needs to be fired, which to me, he revived the program from Tommy Amaker when they were awful. They rely on shooters. They need to get a big man, sure. But Zach Irvin, move him to the 3, get him more playing long range 2, post game a little bit. He's not a 3-point shooter. That's what he was trying to take the game into his own hands, which I credit him a lot. Michigan was undersized, overmatched in that game. for them to be up by that many, I think was a blessing
Right.
at the time. And then obviously Michigan State gets stunned by Middle Tennessee State University. The 15 seed over the 2 seed. Busted many people's brackets, but me and Dan are holding strong in our bracket pool. We did not pick Michigan State. We picked them, both of us picked them to go to the Final Four.
Right.
But guess what? We did not pick them to win it all, nor to make the championship game. So we are the only two actually with the champion left
Yeah.
in our bracket. So Dan, congratulations. It's going to be us splitting the
pot
of
Honey Nut Cheerios.
yep. Yep.
Gold's on the
Gambling's
line. Honey
yep.
Nut Cheerios, gold.
Yep. So Honey Nut, if you're watching, make the check out to cash. We got you.
But you have to give Nick kudos if you saw his
Kudos the
Facebook-
candy bar.
That too, yeah. But if you saw his Facebook post on Shelby's Facebook,
No one did. No one commented on it. I was upset. Maybe
Because
they were
they don't-
intimidated
Yeah.
by my pick of Yale to beat Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, let me. Okay, Dan, I'm interrupting here because this is a great story. All right, that's right. I'm talking to you. Yale was my pick, the 12 over the 5, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Baylor was the 5, Yale was the 12. The last 2 years, Nick, me, has picked Baylor to win the national championship. Once when they were a 3 seed, once when they were a 4 seed. Last year was their year. Well, folks, let me tell you. Last year they lost in the first round to Georgia State. My bracket was over the first weekend. The year before, they lost in the second round to Phoenix Online. Yep, that's right. An online college. Not really, but it might as well have been. My bracket was busted the first weekend. So all of you who picked Michigan State to win it all, I feel your pain. Because I've been there. I've done it. So I said, Baylor will never screw me over again. So I'm taking whoever they play. I saw Yale. I said, this is my team. Bunch of smart people. Smart men out there. They're going to outsmart these goons on Baylor. And what did they do? They beat them. And then your dogs, Duke, came in all cocky, up 27 points at halftime. Baylor herded together Sears, Sherrod, Mackay Mason. They put it together. Blew it down the stretch, though, lost by 6. But Yale made it a ball game. And, man, was I excited watching that. Tweeting out at Yale basketball. They never responded. It's cool. I see ya. Too smart for me. Just a specs grad in a specs world. But, you know, Yale was my squad.
have they arrived? Do you
Yale?
think- yeah.
No.
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 I didn't think so.
No, they were just this year's George Mason.
There you go.
but-
Ooh, yeah.
but-
those guys.
Back to you. You were going to give me some kudos for something.
Going back.
Anyone who wants to give me kudos, I'm open.
I believe it was
I'm
the
open for it.
second or third rule that Nick made about filling out your
Oh,
brackets.
yeah, don't be a
was
hometown
don't be
slappy.
a hometown slappy.
And what happened, folks? What happened? Your boy was right.
No, what you got to do with that too is, all right, if you don't do the hometown slappy, if you don't pick your home team, that's even better. Because, yeah, you might lose your bracket, but the team you're cheering for will be going to the Final Four, the national championship.
And you can root for him there.
And you can root from there. So it's either you take the money,
The
or you-
pride.
the pride, walking a little bit taller, or you take
Not
the
money.
love for your team.
Not money. We don't do that here.
Well, it's, in some, yeah, you're right.
Continue. Sorry.
But you have to wait out. Do you want the pride, or do you want the love for your team, the love that they're going to get a national championship? You got to pick. You can't
Pride.
have both. Fortunately enough, I got lucky last year with my Duke Blue Devils. I actually had them going, but that's a whole other story. That's last year. That's in the past. You guys don't want to hear about it. I know Nick doesn't want to hear about it. But
Can we turn his audio off? Anyone?
But filling out the bracket, you got to keep that in mind. I mean, and I'm sure nobody's going to forget this. In my opinion, I think a lot of sports writers' opinion, I'm sure your opinion, the worst loss in NCAA Final Four tournament history was last Friday against.
And here's my beef, all right? All you Michigan State fans out there, they lost because they weren't a 1 seed. No, I'll tell you why you lost. You lost because your seniors didn't show up. Denzel Valentine was awful. Costello was your best player. That's how you know you're going to lose. Don't make excuses. It's always an excuse. Michigan State's not getting the the respect they deserve for football. Well, guess what? Did they get respect when they got shellacked on international TV to Alabama? Oh, there's your earned respect. Oh, well, they should have been a 1 seed. Why is Oregon a 1? Why is Virginia a 1? I'll tell you why. They were better teams. They won their first round games by 30 points. You lost to a bunch of nobodies who no one has ever heard of, who got shellacked in the second round to a 10-seed Syracuse team who has 14 losses. That's why you lost. You didn't show up. You're not good enough, and I hope they're haunted for the rest of time. Izzo, you might as well come over to Michigan and say, that'll never happen. Sorry. Can we filter that? Can I retract a statement? No, he's a great coach. All right. Probably the best. Him and Coach K. Yeah. 2 programs that I hate. Dan, put your hands away. All right.
There's K and then there's Izzo also.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Okay.
But enough of me. I'm not even going to give you a rebuttal on this because we got.
Nope. People were really complaining about you actually had people complaining about their seed.
Yeah. Do you have Facebook? Are you still on MySpace? Pick comment for pick comment? All right, you lost me with that one.
No, I just can't. The real issue, I feel, is they had tunnel vision. And they had all these obstacles in front of them, but they had tunnel vision.
This was the best team Michigan State has had in 10 years.
Yeah, it was.
This was better than their national championship team, 2000.
Izzo pretty much guaranteed a national championship run and win without saying that. But, you can insinuate a lot without saying it. And you could see after the game that he knew he messed up. If I was Izzo, I wouldn't even show them. I would not show them the brackets. If it was me, I would just be like 1 game at a time. You're not going to know who you're playing. It's just you're going to arrive and you're going to see who you're playing once the game starts. They had tunnel vision and they just lost respect for a team, and you can tell that they're outplayed by this team. And unfortunately, it cost them.
Dan, we got the Sweet 16. We're going to make our choices. We're going to break it down. So the Sweet 16 game, first game up, Dan. Miami, the 3 seed against the 2 seed Villanova. Who do you got?
I like Miami, but I got to go with Villanova. I think Miami's got some good size, but Nova's just,
I got Miami in that one.
Ooh.
They will play the winner of 5-seeded Maryland and 1-seeded Kansas. The number 1 overall seed, Kansas, by the way. Who do you got?
I'm going with Kansas. I can't stand Maryland.
Well, guess what? We're 2 for 2 on disagreement. I got Maryland. Now, the next game, the 3-seeded Texas A&M, who had a stunning comeback down 12 points with 44 seconds left to the folding chair of the tournament, Northern Iowa. They won it in double overtime. They're playing the 2-seeded Oklahoma. Who do you got?
I like A&M, but I think they're just too exhausted. So I got to go with Oklahoma.
I have Oklahoma as well. They will play the winner of the 1-seed Oregon against your number 4-seeded Duke Blue Devils. Should I just say you got Coach K?
You can if you want, but it's not going to be true.
Oh, zing, zing, zing. Up in this.
I really haven't been confident with them this whole season. Even the regular season I wasn't.
So you got Oregon.
I got Oregon.
I got Oregon as well. So then we'll break it down into the Elite Eight for that side. Miami for me versus Maryland. I'm taking Maryland to go to the Final Four. You have Villanova and Kansas. Who do you got?
I got to go with Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah.
So you have Kansas. All right. Very well. And then Oregon versus Oklahoma. We both have that one. Who do you got?
I want to go with Oklahoma.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. So we've got a Final Four, 2 of the Final Four representative. We both agree on Oklahoma, that is. Mm-hmm. I have Maryland. You have Kansas. The other side, now we have number 4-seeded Iowa State against number 1 Virginia. I have Iowa State. Who do you have?
I like Virginia.
Okay.
That makes sense.
They will play the winner of Gonzaga and Syracuse. 11 versus a 10. Syracuse is an awful team. I don't know how they're made it this far. Gonzaga is surging. I got the Zags.
Yeah, Zags also.
So then, folks, Indiana, the 5 seed, which I picked to beat Kentucky. Sorry, Dan. Against my national champion, North Carolina Tar Heels. Obviously, I have North Carolina beating Indiana.
Yep.
Which leaves us to Notre Dame, the 6th seed, against the 7th seed, Wisconsin, who you were the only one in the U.S. who had faith in Wisconsin. Do you have Wisconsin beating Notre Dame?
They're thirsty after last year's loss in the national championship. So, yeah, they're going to be going.
Notre Dame will win that game, folks. let's get it. Who do you have in your Final Four? This is too confusing for me.
All right, I've got Kansas, Oregon, Virginia, and UNC.
All right, now I've got UNC, Iowa State, Oklahoma, Maryland. My championship is Oklahoma and North Carolina. North Carolina, your national champion.
Yep, and I've got Kansas and UNC going.
And Kansas winning.
Kansas winning.
All right, well, folks, you can put that wherever you want. I don't know if you tuned out listening to all that confusion. I'm not confused because I know the Tar Heels are winning. Sorry, Dan. Needless to say, disappointing for Michigan teams. Who cares? It makes it now you can just watch, take a little bit off your heart. But I love March Madness because you have interest in games that you would never have interest in if you didn't have a bracket filled out. And me and Dan lead our bracket, so if you're watching in our bracket, I'm sorry, we're winning. Charlie Sheen style. You're not. Jason Day won another PGA event, stays #1 in the world. Good for him. That's all I'm going to say about that. Golf season's here. I'm pretty excited. I got new golf cleats.
Nice.
Went to the
Yeah,
Golf
pretty
Expo in
sharp.
Novi. They're pretty hype. This might be the year I make it on tour. So, Dan, you can be on the bag if you want. Be my caddy.
That's fine.
We'll do the show live from Augusta if I make it, which probably not, definitely not happening. Can you shoot 120 on the front nine and make it? No? Okay. Moving on. Pistons tied for the 8th seed with Chicago, and they're only a half game behind Indiana for the 7th seed, and they're only 3 games out of the 5 seed, so definitely very much alive. Although last week we both said they're guaranteed to make the playoffs, and then that very night they get just embarrassed on national TV by 40-plus points to the Washington Wizards, who are surging, but still the 10th seed. Definitely very much alive, though. They won 4 straight now. Pistons, I'm still saying they're in the playoffs.
Yeah. I feel confident with them.
They have 9 straight home games, all against winnable games. They're all winnable games. They lost their first one, but then they won their next 2. So still 6 home games in a row remaining. They got to get it done, though, while they're at home, or else it could be ugly towards the end of the season.
Yeah, make some free throws. You're a professional athlete. Make a free throw. When you're watching these college kids in this tournament, watch this tournament. How many times do they actually miss as opposed to watching these professional teams? I'm sorry. It's inexcusable, and I think you got to start
I
making
agree.
this-
For a guy like Andre Drummond, you know you're going to go to the line because teams are fouling you because you're a 37% free throw shooter. Practice. Your whole practice should be, we already know you're a freak down low in the paint. You can rebound better than anyone in the NBA. He should just sit at the free throw line for 20 hours of your 24-hour day.
Give them an AI talking about practice.
I mean, when
That's
you're
all.
making that much money, who cares? Do whatever it takes to make free throws.
Yep.
Plain and simple. He's the worst free throw shooter in the NBA.
That's
Hack
it.
a Dre. It's effective. I'd be following him all the time. And the other teams are. The Pistons can't get into an offensive rhythm when Andre Drummond's on the floor in a close game because they're just going to foul him no matter where he is on the floor. And if he can make them pay, maybe they won't do that. Your offense can get in rhythm. Either way, it's a win-win for you. Make your free throws and maybe not get fouled. Plain and simple. Pistons will make the playoffs.
Yep.
Wings will make the playoffs. Make it now. Make it now.
Yeah.
Wings in. Pistons in. Lions in.
Oh, buddy. No.
Tigers in. Last week we both said no.
I'm still gonna go with no.
I'm going to go with no because nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. Season opening day, 15 days away. Folks, doesn't matter. Me and Dan Myers, we've got you covered on anything. If you want opinionated sports, you've come to the right place every single day of the week.
If you want to help with
Danny,
your brackets, listen to him because
it's too late. You already didn't listen to me.
remember this next year.
Remember this next year. I'll be sure to get all your picks wrong. Dan Myers, Nick Buckler, deuces.